there has to be clearly like who's in charge. And when there's so many cooks in the kitchen, there has to be the leader. Who's calling the shots? Who's running the show? And then I usually say like, who starts the renewal?
Commercial, sometimes business owners are very entrepreneurial and have wonderful minds that think of all these fun ways to make money, but they don't remember to call you every time they change something.
All right. We have been on a renewal like rampage, Stephen, this month. I feel
Making
so
it
good
happen.
about it. Because it's like, I feel like renewal is like the unsung hero. Everyone talk about new business, right? But like if you're selling as much as you're losing, that doesn't really work so well either. So I'm like lock the back of the house down.
So we're going to be talking about commercial clients and how to retain them. And this is one of my favorite ones, honestly.
Okay. Tell me more. Tell me
Can
more.
I tell you why?
Tell me what
Sure.
we're with.
Can we agree that most of us have to call our commercial clients for something prior to renewal anyways, like an updated app or updated numbers, that we're already talking to them before the renewal?
I would say I mean, for a lot of them, there's some small bops that kind of auto renew, which I respect.
Absolutely.
But those can get a little ham, egg, and cheese if they haven't been audited. You might be missing some premium in revenue as well.
So I love renewal calls for commercial teams because we're already used to communicating with most of our clients anyways.
Yeah.
All we're doing is asking a few additional questions and taking the experience to the next level so they remember us and want to give us the rest of their business as well, or tell their friends about us, because who doesn't want more business?
I like more business.
The personal lines team is sometimes more of a challenge because we're not used to being so proactive or having to reach out prior to renewal. Commercial, I think we are a little more comfortable with calling and being like, hey, Bob, need to get some updated numbers to get that renewal prepped for you.
We are, but I also find, if I can be completely clear, I also find that commercial, they tend to be like, I'm going to call when to get what the underwriter needs to renew it. They don't do a full comprehensive review. So it's like I'm satisfying the underwriter's requests. I'm not really finding out what's happening and advising. It's like, I need this for renewal.
I'm 1000% agreeing with you. I am just trying to get people to understand that you're already calling them and used to doing the action of calling ahead of time. Like you're already being somewhat proactive.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. That I would agree.
So we can just add some extra toppings and spice and take it to the next level and get a much better result.
Toppings and spice.
Toppings and spice.
How much spice can we get?
I don't know.
True. Okay. I like that. I can be down with that vibe.
Okay.
But I also think the commercial, what ends up happening is commercial renewals are project management, right? So there might be a producer, there's the client, there's the underwriter, there might be like a bookkeeper, an office manager. You're sort of coordinating all these people. And then if it needs to be shopped, maybe because of cancellation or rate increase, you're adding now in all these other underwriters. It's like this project management. And you have to be very organized because you're going to get bits and pieces at different times to really connect the dots, right? And then when commercial is backlogged, so when they're not starting renewal at whatever date, it could be different for each agency, but it's just to say 60 days out, right? And they start now at 30, what happens is this renewal scramble. Then everything keeps getting bumped back. And then that week that client renews, like we have to push everything else off to just deal on this renewal. And I like to say, like, there has to be a way to get back and back and back and honor your process to be at 60. Because like that chaos is so much. And then the fingers get thrown. Well, the underwriter didn't get back to me. The producer didn't do this. I haven't heard from this client. And I'm like, I just need you to just simmer down.
Slow it down just a touch.
Just slow it down. And if you practice the starting point correctly, then, you can still go there. And I know the underwriters are slower, and I know maybe you're not getting your renewals on time, but why don't you start your process at 60, which would be to conduct the review to get updates before even you get the offer.
Right. Be a little proactive.
Well, and I also think there's always this jam up between like producer, account manager, who does what does that look like? And what is your recommendation to agencies that have this producer, account manager renewal friction? I know it doesn't happen in any of your agencies, so maybe think hypothetically.
So hypothetically, I think we define who's responsible for what. So I recently worked with an agency to one of the assistants, like the VA or the CSR, like the lowest level person, knows the renewal's coming up 120 days out. They take the supplemental from the year before, take a blank one, and send it to the client along with some questions and say, hey, can you fill this out? We're going to need this back within the next 2 weeks. I'll remind you in a week and a half if I haven't heard from you. But that's going to help us get your renewal set on the right track.
Yeah.
They then follow up, whatever. Once they get it back, it then goes to the account manager to submit and go to market and make sure everything's correct and okay.
Okay.
They then give it to the producer to close. The producer gets a yes. They give it back to the account manager, but everybody knows what piece of the pie is theirs and what step there they control. If the CSR can't get the client to respond, it still gives the account manager 30 plus days to get the result that they still need by picking up the phone, calling, or being a little more demanding.
This is good.
If they still can't get a result, the producer can then step in and be like, listen here, you don't get a renewal if we don't get this. But we still have 45 days before anything's due.
That's good. I like this.
I mean, I think just setting up a clear process and clear expectations can go a long way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think really like working as a team, right?
Right.
Like we don't need to be enemies. We don't need to be like at each other's throats. Like we just need to be cool. That's all.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just seems like there's so much extra drama that doesn't need to be there.
I feel like there's almost more drama when you're the CSR and account manager and producer all rolled into one.
This is true.
Because then you just get constantly overwhelmed and behind and can't find your way forward.
Yeah.
Great. Like, I'm not saying that's everybody, so don't come at me later. But in general,
hey, bro.
When we're a jack of all trades, we tend to get overwhelmed among the process because one thing goes wrong and then everything else is off track.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I could see that vibe. I could see what we're working with here. But I also think like there has to be clearly like who's in charge. And when there's so many cooks in the kitchen, there has to be the leader. Who's calling the shots? Who's running the show? And then I usually say like, who starts the renewal? Somebody needs to start and kick off the renewal process. And if you're waiting for the carrier to issue their renewal offer, I feel like that's too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a good situation at all.
Most of the time we know what we need well in advance. We can use our little noggins to get a little further and be proactive.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And you also, I think, have to be very persistent with the underwriters and say, hey, I don't have this. Where is this? Like you kind of need to be on top of things too.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents on it. And what's your thought on renewal reviews for commercial lines?
Did they have to happen because that's where we find all the good stuff? Like, did they change operations or they have new ownership structure or they bought a building they forgot to tell you about or they now have 4 tractors instead of 1? If we just call for what we need, that's what they give us. If we spend a couple extra minutes, we uncover all the other things that have changed. Commercial, sometimes business owners are very entrepreneurial and have wonderful minds that think of all these fun ways to make money, but they don't remember to call you every time they change something.
Right. So what is your take on, when you're thinking about renewals, prepping people for the audit? Because I always think it's like this thing that comes out and it doesn't happen every year, right? So it's sort of like a random scenario and it's like, I just paid my premium, it went up and now this.
I kind of have an obsession with having them just sign off on something saying they understand that there's an audit and the rate may change.
Thank you,
even if it's just a blanket statement or a response to an email, I don't care. I want it in the file and I want it tagged or flagged or marked because when they give the account manager attitude over the bill, then the account manager has to go back to the producer and the producer's like, you told them.
Yeah.
Now who's going to deal with it? So I love just a quick, simple, like, hey, we explained this. You agreed. You said you understood. Maybe it wasn't the amount you were expecting, but great news, your business grew. Or great news, you get to pay more now. Congratulations.
Congratulations. It's your lucky day today.
It's your lucky day. You were successful as a business owner. You didn't go bankrupt.
We appreciate you and your kindness.
I would love a quick sign off, acknowledgement, something that just says, this is an auditable policy. Here's what this means.
Right. And then just
I
reminding
understand.
them on your renewal review, just remember you might get an audit. When it comes in, we'll talk about it, but it may or may not come in. The carrier reserves the right to audit. I think that that's so huge. And I don't know. I feel like it should be something that's discussed. That's my personal preference.
Absolutely.
So our renewal review call program actually does also work for commercial lines. Did you know that?
Shut it down.
Yeah, we have.
I did, because we do personal and commercial and sometimes other things as well.
No doubt in my mind that you would know that. But sometimes people think we're all personal lines. I'm like, no, we can definitely do these.
I have a benefits team that's doing renewal review.
Well, and what I always like to remind people too is like, yes, your large commercial goes through a different process, but a lot of people are neglecting small commercial from the perspective of cross-selling home and auto. From maybe they're growing and they need workers' comp, or they have a commercial auto. Like we always look at it like
fit anymore.
Yeah, maybe you even do it every 3 years, just something that kind of says, hey, we're here and that we want to work through it. But yes, you can now get our renewal review call program in several ways.
How many ways?
How many ways? So many ways, Stephen. So many ways.
Did you know that you could see Kelly or I in person? We're happy to travel to your agency and do a whole program with you.
Or just do this remote, right? Like we can.
Or you could still, yes, you could have all of our attention gobbled up remotely through the webcams and the Zoom.
We're so much more fun in person, though.
We're aware we are funner.
But
we love remote as well. You can also join our new group training. Where there's like-minded agencies banding together to go through trainings with our trainer virtually, 10 sessions to get your team where they need to be. Or you can do our online school, which is a do-it-yourself. You are a jack of all trades. Are going to make it happen for your team. You buy the online school and train it.
I love this. How do I get this, Stephen? Tell me more.
You just call me and I'll make it happen.
Oh, okay, cool.
There you go. Or you can visit us at agencyperformancepartners.com and see all of the options, or probably click the link below. I'm assuming there's things there that you can look at.
I'm assuming. I'm assuming that there's something
that you'll find a way to connect with us if you would love to contact us.
If there's not, let us know. Let us know.
You can also comment on the video and we will be happy to respond.
Yeah, but that's super cool, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like everybody can use this opportunity to help their agents get the tools that they need to better run their day. And renewal is a huge part about what we do. So I just get excited about it. That's all.
Absolutely.
So, well, Stephen, this has been an absolute delight. You know what we're going to talk about next month in our podcast?
Ooh, no.
Have scripts on how to handle upset customers. We're actually have a workbook on every type of scenario that you could ever have on an upset customer. So from rate to claims to a billing issue to somebody that made a mistake to just somebody who just generally hates insurance, right? We're crooks, thieves, scam artists. How can we unpack all these nasty, feisty, rowdy, rambunctious humans and convert them into lovable, happy, just, I love you so much.
Then while they're losing theirs.
That's right. I just love you so much. I love you so much. That's what we're going to do 100%. So you have been a great partner. I can't wait to see you in our next podcast setup.
Thank you.
All right. I'll see you then.